reference to a significant drug seizure that occurred on Monday, June the 30th, 2025. Remarks will be given by Theodore S. Hertzberg, the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia, followed by J. W. Chung, Acting Special Agent in Charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration, Atlanta Division. Also joining us is Mike Herskowitz, Assistant United States Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia, Chief of the Narcotics Unit. Dan Sims, Special Agent in Charge of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Regional Drug Enforcement Office. Charles Atkinson, Police Chief of the Doraville Police Department. Cleo Atwater, Chief Deputy from the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office. Fred Watson, Major from the Atlanta Police Department, Violent Crime Section. Jody Turnipseed, Major, and James Long, Captain from the Clayton County Sheriff's Department. Chip Ackley, Commander from the Georgia Department of Community Supervision, and Mike Lindstrom, Major from the Sandy Springs Police Department. We have B-roll footage available, as you can see on the TVs over there. If you would like a copy of that, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Theodore Hertzberg. I'm the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. Earlier this week, DEA agents seized more than 700 pounds of methamphetamine, the methamphetamine that you see here. As you can see from the video footage on the walls, the methamphetamine was meticulously concealed in boxes of cucumbers inside of a tractor trailer in Gainesville, Georgia, just a few miles northeast of Metro Atlanta. 2 men were arrested and promptly charged with federal crimes related to this methamphetamine bust. Specifically, Andres Jasso Jr. and Rufino Pineda Perez were charged with possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute, an offense that typically carries a penalty of at least 10 years, but up to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But Rufino Pineda Perez is a repeat offender and an illegal alien from Mexico. Pineda Perez faces the additional charge of having re-entered the United States unlawfully after having been deported. In fact, Mr. Pineda Perez was deported twice before. He was deported in 2001 after a marijuana trafficking conviction in Arizona, and he was deported in 2019 after serving a federal sentence for trafficking cocaine, a sentence that was imposed in this district after his prosecution by Assistant United States Attorney Herskowitz, who joins us today. These arrests and charges in this case demonstrate the outstanding efforts of the new Homeland Security Task Force, or HSTF, which was established pursuant to President Trump's Inauguration Day executive order to protect the American people against invasion. The objective of each HSTF, of which there are 30 in the country, one of which is headquartered here in Atlanta, is to end the presence of criminal cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal organizations throughout the United States, to dismantle cross-border smuggling and trafficking networks, and to ensure the use of all available law enforcement tools to faithfully execute the immigration laws of the United States. The Atlanta HSTF is comprised of numerous law enforcement agencies, namely the FBI, the DEA, and HSI, and it relies heavily on the support from our state and local law enforcement partners. The HSTF is the primary vehicle through which the Department of Justice is executing Operation Take Back America, which seeks to eliminate the cartels, fight violent crime, and secure the border. As I have said before, and I'll say again, all federal law enforcement agencies in this district are all in and fully committed to Operation Take Back America. And this case shows the value and the product of the collaborative relationships between federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, and my office to protect the community and to hold wrongdoers accountable. In closing, I just want to thank the men and women of the DEA, of my office, of the Homeland Security Task Force, and of all the local agencies that are represented here today for their efforts, their support, and all of the good work that they are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hertzberg. Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Jay Chung. I am the Acting Special Agent in charge of the D Atlanta Field Division. It's not uncommon for drug trafficking organizations to use vegetables to conceal illicit drugs. We've seen this many times before. What is unusual in this particular case is the amount of time and effort the organization put into concealing approximately 700 pounds of methamphetamine to avoid detection. We seized over 1,000 boxes containing cucumbers, and majority of those boxes contain methamphetamine concealed within the four corners of the boxes in small rectangular shapes, as you see on the table today. This type of deliberate concealment, this type of concealment method is used by the cartels to avoid law enforcement detection from the time the drugs cross the southwest border to when it arrives here in the United States. 700 pounds of methamphetamine has a retail value of approximately $4.5 million, which is ultimately revenues denied to the cartels. I want to thank the men and women of the DEA, our state and local law enforcement partners that you see before you, and the United States Attorney's Office for their efforts. DEA and our partners, we remain committed in taking poisons such as methamphetamine and other illicit drugs out of our neighborhoods and keeping our community safe. Thank you. We'll take some questions.
Can you tell us how the seizure came about?
So we received information which led us to the Gainesville area, as stated earlier, and our agents working with our state and local partners conducted a traffic stop and resulting in the seizure of the meth that you see here today.
Are you looking for more suspects?
We are. This investigation is ongoing and it's pre-indictment, so we'll answer at the questions as much as we can, but some of the nuances we will not be able to get into those at this time.
Where was this being stored? Where were they going?
So this was coming here to the Metro Atlanta area. Jasso and Perez, they were the recipients of this load, and this was coming here, and it just happened so that the final destination where they were going to offload it was up in the Gainesville area.
The second suspect, was he in the country legally?
Jasso, I believe, is a United States citizen.
When did he re-enter the country, the illegal suspect?
Is it Perez? I think that's,
Yes.
I believe. So do you know that? Yeah.
Perez was deported in 2019. It's not known when or where he entered unlawfully. He did not have the permission of the Attorney General or the Secretary of Homeland Security to come back to the country. But because he was encountered here in the United States, we know that he did enter unlawfully after having been deported twice. And that's the basis for the felony immigration charge that he's now facing.
You mentioned the Homeland Security Task Force and this being one of 30 across the country and executive order by President Trump. Do you anticipate more funding towards these task force given the recent legislation that's before Congress, and how could that potentially lead to more seizures like this?
Yes, we do expect the administration and Congress to support this initiative. It's critically important to our community. It's already showing results. And so, yes, I do expect that there will be adequate funding for these programs. There has to be.
And where did this travel from?
This is clearly cartel-connected methamphetamine. So we can't really speak to today the entire path of the methamphetamine, where it came from, exactly where it was going, but what is known is that it was going to be offloaded here in the Northern District of Georgia. And the way in which it was packaged, as you can see today and as you can see from the videos as well, indicates that this is indicative of cartel-connected methamphetamine trafficking.
Are there any agricultural companies from the Hall County area that are under suspicion in relation to this investigation?
I can't speak to that.
And just to clarify, you believe this successfully did cross the Mexican-American border?
So that's correct. So there are three predominant cartels that operate here in the Metro Atlanta area: the Familia Michoacan, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, better known as CJNG, and the Sinaloa Cartel. We believe that this particular load is attributed to either the Sinaloa Cartel or the CJNG.
Were the two men arrested driving the truck,
or were they receiving the load?
They were
from a
the
different driver?
recipients of the drugs.
You
The
mentioned
drivers
that,
involved,
I'm sorry?
the drivers?
A lot of times, that's still pending further investigation. And generally speaking, the drivers sometimes, they could be involved, and sometimes they're unwitting, right? And so it takes some investigations on our part to figure that out.
you mentioned that produce has now been used multiple times. Have y'all been able to get a better sense of where along the process maybe there could be interference earlier on before it gets here, or do they use a similar pattern, different patterns?
So again, it's not uncommon for cartels to use produce, whether it be fruits or vegetables, to conceal narcotics or drugs of this magnitude. And we think that it happens down in Mexico.
Looking at the previous release about the subject that was deported and then has come back to the United States, that involved, I think, about 13 members of a drug trafficking organization. Do we think that there is a similar size operation at work here? I know you might not be able to speak to that.
So yeah, the investigation is ongoing. It's still early on. So we are looking into the others that may be or may not be involved. So we can't speak to that right now.
Just people are going to ask, if you consume fruit or produce, is there any impact to you?
So no, and listen, along with the drugs that you see here, we took off 30,000 pounds of cucumber. It's been discarded, much like the celery seizures that we had back in August of last year. We don't put those back out on the street. We discard them. So the public is safe.
Thank you.
All right, so there you just heard as we took you inside of Atlanta headquarters for the DEA as they revealed that 2 men have been arrested for what was, after all, a significant drug bust out of Gainesville, Georgia. Now, the Attorney General for Northern Georgia said that the DEA agents found more than 700 pounds of methamphetamine, and you saw that on your screen laid out on the table. It really gives you a visual understanding of how much narcotics we're talking about here. They were apparently concealed in produce, cucumbers specifically, inside of a tractor trailer that was transporting the hidden narcotics through Gainesville when it was intercepted by DEA agents. So, of course, we're going to stay on top of this. We have a report from our senior reporter, Patrick Quinn, coming up detailing this investigation that led to the drug bust and, of course, more information on the 2 men that were arrested. Now, during this news conference, the officials also spoke about drug and gang activity, drug activity and cartels here in the state, and that has been for many years now an effort of the DEA centered in Georgia to intercept and kind of interfere with efforts to traffic and distribute drugs throughout the state and ultimately throughout the country. So they did discuss the cartel activity that they continue to follow. Earlier this year, we reported to you an update from federal officials as they were looking for 2 cartel leaders believed to be trafficking drugs through the state of Georgia. Now, that is not tied or not believed to be tied to this specific drug bust, but it does kind of paint a picture of how this is an ongoing operation that is lending to a larger effort to really bring down the amount of illegal drug activity that we are seeing in the state. So we will keep you updated, of course, here on Atlanta News First and Atlanta News First Plus. Our Atlanta News First Patrick Quinn will have a report for you coming up live at 5.
Thank you for watching ANF Plus. For more breaking news, live coverage, and your community stories, download the Atlanta News First app. You can also watch us on YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. To join the conversation on YouTube Live, visit our channel and hit subscribe. You can also listen to the Atlanta News First podcast by searching Atlanta News First on your preferred listening platform.